Hey painters! With all the products out there, I feel like it's really hard sometimes to narrow things down and find the right paint product for your project. That's what this series is all about, I feel. Sometimes even I feel bombarded by the overwhelming number of paints out there, all at varying price points. Then comes along the seemingly no-brainer choice to a lot of people, Behr Premium Plus. This is a product that is consistently a high seller, and I wanted to go over it with you to maybe find out why. We're putting the spotlight on Behr Premium Plus, paint and primer in one, and we're going to go over the pros and cons of this product so you can make a more informed decision. Welcome back to the Paint People. My name is James, and I've personally been involved with paint for well over a decade at this point. But it's not just me on this channel, there's a whole Paint People team working with me behind the scenes to provide you with a combined wealth of knowledge and experience. It goes without saying though, this is just our experience. Everyone is going to have a completely unique and differing opinion. While previous episodes of Spotlight have gone over more specialty products that perhaps are designed for specific tasks like priming plastic, or painting cabinets, or providing enhanced scuff resistance for those more high-traffic commercial areas, today is going to be about a product that is seemingly relatively straightforward. A high-value, affordable, all-in-one paint product designed for the do-it-yourselfer. Premium Plus Paint and Primer in One is a low VOC latex paint that is available in 5 different finishes: flat, eggshell, satin, semi-gloss, and high gloss. The substrates or surfaces you would typically apply this product on would be drywall, plaster, wood, any of your typical interior surfaces. But one of its highlighted features is actually in the name. It's the fact that not only is it a paint, but a primer as well. To a lot of people, this is a huge deal because by eliminating the need for a primer, you're essentially eliminating one step, thus saving you lots of time. But we'll get into this a little bit later on in the video, so stay tuned. Let's jump right into some of the product's pros. Price. In my eyes, this is quite possibly the most obvious upside of this product because you're able to acquire it for a pretty affordable price, especially when compared to some more premium brands. This makes the barrier to entry quite low with this product, meaning you don't necessarily need to fuss about the exorbitant amount of money you're spending on a paint. And the less time you're worrying about that, the more time you can get right to painting. Durability. Now what makes its price even more compelling is the washability you're left with once you've applied it and allowed it to cure. The affordable price wouldn't really matter a whole lot if you're just getting a cheap product that doesn't do its job and you couldn't even clean the walls afterwards. Like most paints, the more shiny the paint is, the more durability and washability it'll tend to have, which is why you'll often see flatter finishes on walls, but the higher sheen finishes are on doors, trim, and baseboards, because the woodwork is more likely to take a beating. You're more likely to kick a baseboard or get some grease and grime around a door handle, for example. But in this line of paint products, I would still recommend an eggshell finish on the walls, because it ends up being a really nice compromise between durability, but also aesthetically pleasing. Flatter finishes will hide imperfections a little bit better, so if your wall is a bit older or it's misshapen, you won't notice it as much with an eggshell or a flat finish. Coverage. No, you're not gonna get an extra 200 square feet of coverage compared to another mid-level paint, but it still does a respectable job at covering between 250 and 400 square feet of surface area pretty easily. It also has a pretty high level of viscosity, meaning it still feels quite thick as a paint. It's not gonna feel runny or watered down like a cheaper comparable product, which is why I could see why people would forego a primer undercoat prior to using this. It'll be a case-by-case situation, and it's largely dependent on what color you're using, as well as whatever color you're painting over. But it's comforting to know that in a lot of cases, you'll just need your 2 finish coats to fully cover the surface you're painting. A lot of my customers will be shocked to know that I don't prime a lot of the walls that I paint, because some time ago, it was a must. You just had to prime no matter what. But this misconception also ties into the first of this product's cons: not a primer replacer. There are a lot of cases where using this paint, or any modern mid to high-end paint product, will eliminate the need for an undercoat, but not all the time. I've talked to people that had issues using this product mainly because they completely ignored the fact that they needed to prime certain surfaces before applying their finish coats in order to get that nice and uniform look. The fact is, there's no actual primer in this product. It's just created in a way that it can sometimes act as a primer. One example of this is if you're working in an area that has quite a few of those small little plaster spots from a bunch of small repairs that were done, maybe some nail holes that needed to be fixed. After those spots are completely sanded down, they're not meant to simply be painted over, even if you're using a product that claims to be a paint and primer in one, like this one. You still want to spot prime those areas, otherwise you'll be left with flatter looking spots where the plaster was, which is sometimes referred to as flashing. The easiest way to deal with this situation is just to spot prime those areas with the paint itself, and then you should be good to go after your 2 finish coats on top of it. But this doesn't seem like an ideal solution if you have a much larger area to prime, like brand new drywall for example. And in that case, you'd be much better off buying an even more affordable can of all-purpose primer to get that undercoat done first. There are certain situations where you simply can't replace the right primer. I know it can be tedious, but nothing replaces proper prep. So that's the big con, and I have 2 little smaller cons that I want to add on. Again, about the misconception thing. The flat finish is advertised as being very washable and durable, but I still think it's not quite as washable as the other finishes. I would only use it in low traffic areas, mainly bedrooms, or maybe the living room that you hardly use. I would advise against using the flat finish in areas like hallways, those high traffic areas, or even bathrooms that get water splashed on the walls. Just go with eggshell, you'll be better off. And also one little tiny con that is just a little personal pet peeve of mine is its fast drying time. Now, it's a good thing because it'll dry quick and feel really solid on the wall fairly quickly, well before its month-long curing time. But I just find that it also dries quite fast in my paint tray as well. Just a small thing that sometimes throws off my workflow a little bit because I don't always have the luxury of leaving my tray on one side of the room, head over to the other side to get some brushwork and cutting done, because by the time I come back, a thin layer of skin has already dried over the tray. This can easily be avoided if you just cover your tray, but I've been spoiled from using other products with a more forgiving open time. Overall, there's not really a ton to complain about. You're getting a high value product that doesn't break the bank, and especially if you're into Behr products, I feel it's a pretty easy choice. That being said, your mileage may vary, and I'm sure a lot of you have very specific experiences and thoughts on the product, so I would encourage you to share your experiences with your fellow paint people in the comment section below. Here's another spotlight we did on another Behr product meant for decks, and it really sparked a lot of conversation, which I had a lot of fun partaking in myself. If there are any products you want a brief overview on in the future, don't forget to let us know down below because we're always open to suggestions. See you on the next one.